Hi, I'm Mckibbin. I'm the co-founder of Decentralized. I'm happy to be here at Bitcoin 2022 with Finance Media. Decentralized culture is the community that's kind of been brought about around these technologies that unite us around the world, open source technologies that unite us in a common goal of creating something that allows us all to trade and benefit and mutually benefit, incentivize each other to improve the world. As we see these decentralized technologies come into the mainstream, there's almost a cultural component or revolution that's going on as well that builds around what the technologies can do for the common man and how they allow more people to collaborate on common means, on fair and stable and democratized means of trade and governance and applications there. BTC, Miami, I mean, the sheer scale of the interest of humans. Like, I used to throw the D10E conferences, and it was almost impossible to get people to pay $250 to come to a 2-day event. And now people are paying tens of thousands of dollars to go participate in this massive tens of thousands of person event. And so the sheer scale and then probably hundreds of thousands of people watching online, right? The sheer scale of the immensity of popularity of the technology and what it can do for humanity has come to fruition, and we're seeing that actively. So I'm excited about I'm excited about the culture that's being built around these technologies, and that it's scaling to the world, and people are realizing just how amazing this is going to be and how many problems it can solve.
My name is Ron Levy. I'm the CEO of the crypto company, and we are one of the first publicly traded companies in the crypto space. We do various things, but one of our initiatives that I'm most excited about, because I'm a blockchain enthusiast first and foremost, is we have what I think is the #1 blockchain training company in the world. We train Disney and Deloitte and E&Y and the United States government, and the list goes on and on around the world, Dubai, Singapore. But we also train individuals, and we've trained over 150,000 individuals, both on the technical side, how to code it, and also just to understand blockchain, maybe project manage or get a career in everything except for the technical stuff within blockchain. I've been in crypto and blockchain for a number of years, and education has always been something I'm very interested in because I believe in the technology and the freedom that it allows, and it just made sense to be on the educational side with the mantra of training as many people as we possibly can. And that comes to light. Last week, someone walked up to me and said they took our classes 2019, a couple of years ago, and from our classes, they now have a full career in the industry, whereas they wouldn't have before. And that's an example of what happens. The industry is a solution for so many ills in society. I'm not going to ignore the fact there's unintentional consequences we have to be aware of, but on the positive side, the industry does not have enough people in it. It is growing faster than people are learning about it. So from our standpoint, if we can train them, it helps the individual get into a fast-growing industry that literally within 1 or 2 years have become experts, and they have a career for the rest of their lives. And it also helps the industry because that is what's slowing it down. We just need more people in it. So I'm not actually the teacher. I'm an enthusiast, and we own the company. So I would call myself more on the business side, but I'm very passionate about it. But we have expert teachers that's what they do and that's what they know how to do. I don't create the courses. I sometimes come up with a course I want, but the creators of the course are experts in that. The courses themselves have gravitated from being primarily blockchain as opposed to crypto. And then due to what's happened in the space recently, we now have a cryptocurrency class. We've got Meta, we've got NFTs. We're now entering all of these new, call them technologies or products that are coming out of our industry. We've been adding them over the course of this year. And we've got the personnel to develop courses they're structured and they're educational. They're not just like watching YouTube videos. Well, Bitcoin 2021 was kind of the coming out party from COVID for the industry. Prior to COVID, I was at conferences every week all around the world. COVID hit, the valve shut off. So the first one coming back into it was Bitcoin 2021, which was maybe June of 2021. And it was a sensation. It was really fantastic. Bitcoin Magazine is the ones that put it on. They did a great job. And so it was a natural to come here again. And I wasn't let down. It's the level of vendors and speakers is phenomenal. Blockchain and crypto are going to be entering every sector that exists in our traditional world. It's not going to happen all tomorrow, but make no mistake, it's happening. So if you're at the waning end of your career, you might find it interesting and adventurous, and I think you would still love to learn about it. But if you're at the beginning parts of your career, there's an argument to say that you can advance in this industry possibly faster than any industry in history. And you can do it in an industry that, from my point of view, is world-changing in a phenomenal way. So you can be part of that passion. It was said to me the other day by someone, I was with some people that weren't that excitable or were not that passionate. And someone that was with me said, that's because you're with crypto people all the time. You're with your people in your business. There is something that is through all of us that we can't get enough, and we're impassioned by it, and we see it clearly. There's a certain point of your learning where all of a sudden it is that aha moment and you get what decentralization really means. And I'd suggest in the last month, we've learned great use case. Look at what's going on in Ukraine. President of Ukraine has taken time out in the last 2 weeks to sign a bunch of cryptocurrency laws, allowing their banks to conduct in cryptocurrency. There's a lot of reasons for that, maybe too much for this interview, but it's the decentralized nature. Let me simplify it. If you blow up all the banks and they're gone, you have no more system. Cryptocurrency is decentralized. They can utilize it no matter what. It's a great way to go.
Jason Van Yair, and the company is The Lost Bitcoins. So it's an NFT project to start, but the entire concept is about this idea that over the past 10 years, I've been a Bitcoin enthusiast, and over the past 6, I've been a Bitcoin and a cryptocurrency professional. I constantly hear the same story, which is like, hey, I got in super early, and it was really hard to get, or it was really hard, but I figured out how to mine some, and it wasn't worth a whole lot of money back then, but I had some, 100, 1,000, something like that, and I threw away my computer and I totally lost them, right? So I wanted to go down that path and see how many actual Bitcoin wallets haven't moved over a certain period of time. So I said I would just start with 2009, 2010, which is when Bitcoin came out, right? January 3rd, 2009. And what the results were is that 10,963 wallets haven't moved since December 31st, 2010. So that's like $80 billion of lost value. So I said, wow, isn't that super interesting? Then everything that's been happening with Web3, I said, it would be really cool to build the world's first Bitcoin cemetery in the metaverse, right? So that was sort of the brainchild of this. 5 months later, we've come up with a great artistic representation, and we are going to launch in about a month and a half. So super exciting times. We found all these wallets, right? So there's 10,963 wallets that haven't moved since December 31st, 2010. So it's okay, what do we do with that? That could be really exciting for a community. Now we have the advent of Web3 for about 18 months now. That's gotten really exciting and really popular. So we wanted to have some sort of a story, a brand narrative that would blend and serve as a bridge between all the newbies, as they're called, and all the crypto OGs. So that's what the Lost Bitcoins is going to start as this platform to be able to create a piece of crypto history and take part in the original story that people like myself and a bunch of others got really excited about when it wasn't really popular. So the main characteristic of all of these NFTs is going to be the value of the underlying wallet that each NFT represents, right? So for example, by and large, most NFTs are going to be like tombstones because they're going to have somewhere between 50, which was the block size then, so effectively the smallest wallet size, right? So 50 Bitcoin, all the way through to 99 Bitcoin. And then just like you would have in a cemetery, there's different structures, right? So the bigger the wallet size, the bigger the structure. So if you have over 100 Bitcoin in your respective wallet, they'll become obelisks. And if you have over 1,000 Bitcoin in your respective wallet, and there's a bunch of them that do. There's one wallet that even has 31,000 Bitcoins in it. Those are mausoleums, right? If you have, there's only one wallet, but if you get it, you get Satoshi's Grand Tomb. So what's really, really interesting is like the whole like, why is there going to be a Bitcoin cemetery in the metaverse as a tribute site for all the early adopters, and like really as like a pilgrimage site. Fast forward 20 years into the future when this is like, you know, we all see where this story is going, but like imagine where it's going to be in 20 years from now. It'll be like the Taj Mahal of the metaverse as the place for like the creator, person, team, government agency, who knows what it actually was, that actually like created Bitcoin and the underlying technology called blockchain, right? Who's in it? Yeah. A lot of really interesting folks who were founders of like some of the bigger companies today have been supporting it. We have great artwork from a really, really wonderful group of folks in Latin America that have a great design studio. We decided it was really interesting, like, because in the NFT world, you have all of these PFPs, they're called profile picture, like concept art. So like think about Bored Ape or CryptoPunks and things like that, right? We're talking about a cemetery and we're talking about tombstones. So like if you've got a tombstone, how do you make it really exciting as a piece of art? So we went through like so many different artists to look for concept art, and finally we found these folks that got it, and they looked at the perspective in such an interesting way. It's as though you're sitting on the ground looking up at the tombstone or whatever the other structure is. So it looks really, really impressive, and it kind of feels like a trading card kind of vibe, right? And that's sort of like what we're building on, this mysterious, spooky trading card legend story, right? Yeah. Got started in real estate, and I was doing real estate investments for like 5 years. And then just socially, people were like, hey, have you heard about Bitcoin, right? This was 2012. So I looked at it, it was super, super scary. The whole concept of it like was very, very hard to wrap your head around at first, right? But ultimately, like the fundamental like meaning behind it, as far as like economic freedom for the world, was something that I was really excited about. And I didn't have a whole bunch of money back then, but you know, I was able to invest a little bit, and by that I was able to find out about Ethereum when it first came out. And by 2016, I got super, super excited about the space where I said, I'm stopping with the real estate and I want to go full time in crypto, right? So I started by a Bitcoin mining company. I figured out how to set up a warehouse and convert it into like a small data center. And we ran a Bitcoin mine from 2016 to 2018. And the rest is history. If you think about Bitcoin's white paper, this was all meant to be a peer-to-peer cash system for the world, right? So we would love to see cryptocurrency become something that's ultimately used as a medium of exchange rather than a storage of wealth or a speculative asset. But yeah, I mean, I'm an enthusiast, so I would love people to use it, yeah.
Armando Pantoja, and right now I'm working with Oculus. So crypto is not like, is not fully to where it's supposed to be right now. And the reason why is because that people don't understand how to use it. It's still in our very early stages, right? Crypto was the first crypto ever created was Bitcoin, 2009. And that was only 12 years ago. And that's a very short time period for new technology. Right, the average technology, like for example, I'll give you a good example, is that the digital cameras were first created in the mid-70s. It took us 25 years before we used it in everyday life. So technology normally, we don't see it because it's in the background, but technology takes a long time to actually be to a point that we can use it easily and it's and in this case secure. So Bitcoin and crypto in general is very early in its I guess its lifespan, right? So it's still a lot of problems. People don't understand how to use it, how to store it securely. There's a lot of hackers stealing crypto from people because they don't understand how it works. And Oculus is helping with that. All right, so the way I got into crypto in general and security in general is that in 2010, I moved to Florida to go to grad school to study software security, right? 2010. So Bitcoin was created in 2009. So 2011, I was in grad school for about a year studying cryptology, which is the study of encryption across computer networks or computer systems. So that's what cryptocurrency is based on. That's why it's called crypto. It's based on cryptology. So I was very, very early in all of this, right? I heard people talking about it at school. I heard people, I just heard about it, professors and everything talking about it. And so I was like very interested in it because it was something I was studying. And at the time, we just see it as an investment. So I was very interested in, this thing called Bitcoin, right? So I bought $500 worth of Bitcoin, and it was difficult back then. It was a guy, it's a dog track in Tampa. I mean, it's a crazy story, right? It's how I used to buy Bitcoin, right? It was no Coinbase, it was no exchanges. It was like 3 exchanges on earth. So it was a guy that used to play poker at the dog track, right? And I would walk up to him and say, I would text him first, say, I need some crypto, I need some Bitcoin. He was like, okay, come by, I'm here from this time to this time. I'd get there and he'd be playing poker and I'd wait for him to finish a hand. He'd get up, I'd pay him cash and he would give me the money. Give me the Bitcoin, right? A transfer right there. And that's how I acquired all of my Bitcoin at first. That was the only way you could do it. You had to find somebody that would sell it to you like over the counter. And so I bought $500 worth, and I really didn't understand it. Even though I was studying computer science, even though I was studying software security, I really didn't understand it, right? So I was on a forum late one night, it was a grad student, I was kind of desperate. It was late one night, and I was, like you're in that kind of mindset, you're kind of emotional and desperate. So a guy wrote me and said, hey, I could take that Bitcoin that you have, $500 worth, you send it to me, and I'll send you back 1,000 because I have a program that can do that. In my back of my mind, I knew that it was probably a scam, but I was so desperate, like it overwhelmed me, and I sent it. Of course, he stole it from me, and I never saw it again. The first $500 worth of Bitcoin, which would be worth what? Bitcoin at that time was $70 each. That's like $200,000 now. But I didn't get discouraged, right? So I'm glad that happened because it took me down a path of knowledge, gaining the knowledge, so it wouldn't happen again. So after he stole it, I said, look, man, it's never gonna happen again. I'm gonna put all of my efforts to learn how the blockchain works, learn how Bitcoin works, learn how the security works, so it never happens again. And then that's where I got to where I'm at today.
I'm Crystal Rose Pierce. I'm an entrepreneur, a technologist, and a philanthropist. And I'm currently the executive director of the Bitcoin Foundation. For anyone interested in getting involved, the best thing to do is find a community that you can trust that's either talking about Bitcoin or its surrounding cousins. NFTs have been the best way that people have learned because they can understand. If you can understand what is an NFT, one unit, one non-fungible token, which I don't expect anyone to understand the acronym, but if you can understand a value system that is decentralized or de-intermediated from any other value system, and you can start to understand the concept of that trade, you can understand Bitcoin a little bit better. Coming from technology for my whole life, my whole career, I've always been in the minority as a woman. I didn't really notice it when I was young because I wasn't really paying attention. I was more focused on what we were building, and I think now more than ever, there are a lot more women that I'm seeing. So just the evolution of the space, because it's becoming more accessible. One thing that's incredible is that women are great fiduciaries for their families. The best people to get into Bitcoin are moms and those who are actually home managing family financials, or those who are securing the future of their children and education and being able to really think about security and future wealth, how they can control the wealth of their family. So I do think that there's a movement of women that I'm seeing. It's slow, but it's growing. And as long as we give tools and continue to promote the accessibility of it, we'll see more women getting into the space. When I was young, all I wanted to do was play video games and make my own website, when I learned about the internet. And it was really through AOL chat rooms. I owe everything to anonymous chatters. Thank you for teaching me how to make just basic websites. But also it was about, for me, new communication tools. And so throughout my career, I've built different things that, in my opinion, help technology and humans connect better. So we need to be uplifting our lives through technology. The best application that we can do is something that helps to raise the status quo for all people. So my mission now, and why I became a philanthropist, and why I feel very fortunate to be able to do this now, is to be able to provide all basic human rights to everyone. That on our world scale, no one should be living under a line that we call third world. There shouldn't even be a designation. And just like startup companies were unicorns if they created $1 billion or more valuation in a short amount of time, with these financial tools, with things like Bitcoin, we're watching as countries, nations, can become unicorns too. They can raise their GDP, they can raise the economic status of their country, they can help people get access to financial tools who are un or underbanked, and actually pull them into a world where they are having their basic human rights and needs met. And today, those basic human rights go beyond just access to food and water and our freedom and our sovereignty, but also Wi-Fi and connectivity and the tools to be able to connect to each other.